Good evening, everyone. I'm McKenna Nobles. Thanks for joining me for Wiregrass Daily News, now at 6. We're starting with our top story. The long-awaited renovation process of the Houston County Farm Center is officially underway, according to sources. Now, the future of the Farm Center has been a hot topic of conversation in the Wiregrass for years. In April of 2024, Houston County commissioners unveiled plans of renovating the center, with the project estimated to cost $180,000. The new center is expected to feature an open-air canopy arena with an architectural display and a brand new parking lot. Now, once this renovation is complete, Houston County has some high hopes of hosting farmers markets, concerts, and other local events at the center. Lewis Construction is in charge of the renovations, with plans to complete this project by the end of the year. In Dothan, a kitchen mishap sparked a fire at Alabaster Bay Apartments earlier today, forcing the evacuation of nearby units. Now, witnesses reported possible minor injuries to the tenant, although this was not confirmed by authorities. By the time Wiregrass Daily News arrived on the scene, the fire had already been extinguished, but smoke was still visible coming from the affected unit. Dothan Fire Department is investigating the incident and assessing the damage. Getting into today's video story, I talked to an employee of the Alabama Department of Revenue about the state's new Choose Act program. Now, this program just went into effect. I believe Governor Ivey released that the applications were open on January 2nd. So those applications are open now. Let's go ahead and take a look at that story. On the second day of January, Governor Kay Ivey announced that applications opened for one of Alabama's newest programs. The Choose Act was a hot topic in Alabama's 2024 legislative session, as the program will help thousands of students and families statewide. Cameron Clark, the Director of Tax Policy and Governmental Affairs with the Department of Revenue, explains just how it can help.
And provides a tax credit in the form of an education savings account or a digital wallet to parents of children in grades K-5 through 12th grade that are Alabama residents.
This program will provide families with one of two types of tax credits. The first option will provide $7,000 for children enrolled in participating schools. The second provides $2,000 for children involved in homeschool or home education programs. Clark says the funds can be used for tuition and other various school-related resources.
You could use it for curriculum or textbooks. You could use it for tutoring. You can even use it for educational therapies, like for dysgraphia or dyslexia therapies. You can also use it to buy pens, pencils, those really expensive graphing calculators. So anything in essence for a child's individualized education.
If you're interested in applying for the program, Clark tells me there are two requirements.
Number one, be an Alabama resident. And number two, not have an income that exceeds 300% of the federal poverty level.
For example, if a family's adjusted gross income is $94,000, they would qualify for the Choose Act program. Applications for the 2025-2026 school year will be open until April 7th of this year. On May 1st, families will be notified of their award, followed by the funding of your digital wallet in July. To find the application or for more information on the Choose Act program, you can visit chooseact.alabama.gov. In Dothan, McKenna Nobles, Wiregrass Daily News. Now, I do want to mention that also on the chooseact.alabama.gov website, you will be able to find tons of information. They even have some webinars, things like that, if you want to learn a little bit more about the Choose Act and just see if you can apply. Going over to some state news now. A new bill might soon help Alabama high school students learn how to solve problems with fighting. Senator Roger Smitherman from Birmingham has introduced a plan called Senate Bill 34 to teach students about violence prevention, conflict resolution, and mediation before they graduate. This lesson would cover things like how to make smart decisions, understanding why bullying, harassment, or school violence happens, how different cultures solve problems peacefully, and what happens when people use violence, how drugs and alcohol can lead to violence, ways to resolve conflicts calmly, including the using peer mediation. Now, schools would be allowed to choose how they teach this, and teach these and the lessons, and teachers would get extra training to help with the new program. Now, if this bill becomes a law, it would start with students entering ninth grade in the 2026-2027 school year. Now, another bill coming up this legislative session is aimed at banning cell phone use in classrooms. Representative Patrick Sellers, who introduced the measure, says it addresses growing concerns from educators about classroom distractions. Now, this bill would prohibit cell phone use in classrooms from kindergarten through 12th grade, with exceptions for medical purposes. Now, if passed, this legislation would take effect in the 2025-2026 school year, and the Alabama State Board of Education would be responsible for developing and implementing policy in schools statewide. And again, not to get things confused, the cell phone bill would not go into effect if passed, for the upcoming school year, but the bullying classes would not go into effect until the school year for 2026 through 2027. Now, guys, before we take a look at the weather, we are going to Headland, where a middle school teacher has been awarded the nation's highest recognition for K through 12 math and science educators. Justin Swayze, a ninth grade math teacher who has nearly 14 years of experience, was named a recipient of the Presidential Award of Excellence in Mathematics and Science Teaching. Now, as a recipient, he will receive a certificate signed by the president, a $10,000 award, and a trip to Washington, D.C., where he will participate in recognition events and professional development opportunities. So a big congratulations to Mr. Swayze. What an honor to win that award, and what an honor for us to have you here on the Wiregrass. Now, before we go, we are going to take a look at weather. So tonight we're going to have a low of 34, not quite as warm as last night, but not as cold as we've seen. The evening chances of rain drop down to a 4% from a 6%, and a few clouds might roll in, but it's looking like it's going to be another typical cold and dry January evening. Well, guys, that's going to do it for Wiregrass Daily News at 6, but I will be back. Oh, I'm sorry. I will not be back, actually. We are phasing out our 9 a.m. broadcast because we're still trying. This is still sort of new, this hybrid kind of situation. So we're going to be trying kind of a new technique of doing things, and I'll make sure to keep you updated on that. Have a good night.